Hello everyone, I am submitting myself to a Toyota rehab program because I am just buying way too much Toyotas. So previously on our couple last video, you guys remember I drove out to Sodana to buy a 94 4Runner 3.4 swap. I still have it, it's in the back or it's in the front yard. Don't know what I want to do with it yet, so let me talk about that real quick and then we'll talk about this guy here. So the 94 4Runner 3.4 swap has an ARB bumper. Those two things were the major attraction of why I wanted to buy it in the first place. It has a little ding in the back, but nothing crazy. Frame's a bit rusty, but nothing structural, just surface rust. Probably the same as my Land Cruiser. So my thought process was like, hey, let's buy this 4Runner, gut out the engine, gut out the tranny, and keep it as a spare. Sell the ARB bumper, etc, etc. But then the day after I bought it, I went to take it for a little test drive. I got it up to like 50-60 miles an hour, and man, that 4Runner, it rips. Like it goes, it just goes because so fast, because it's 3.4, it's 4.56 gears. It has some small skinny 235 tires, and it just rips. The alignment, it's not bad. The alignment has your typical Toyota alignment where it wants to pull to the driver's side, which is not a big deal. You know, if I really wanted to fix that, I could just put new tie rods and stuff like that. But for now, I'm deciding that I'm just gonna go ahead and keep the rig as one whole piece and don't strip it yet. I did put it up for the up on the market to see if anybody wants to buy it. So far, no hits so far, because I'm pretty sure the body is a turn off to a lot of buyers, but that doesn't hurt me. Worst case, if I don't sell that 4Runner, I'm not gonna gut it out. I'm just gonna keep it as one rig and just keep it as a backup rig. You know, if one day I do need a engine, or I find me another pickup that's worthy of the 3.4 swap, I can just rip that motor out and slap into my pickup truck. So right now I have that rig as a donor parts rig, backup rig if I wanted to. I have a spare 3.4 motor that I want to put into another truck, but again, I haven't found a truck that's worthy. So the 4Runner is just going to hang out. That 94 is just going to hang out in the background. So I'll keep you guys posted on that once I do something to it. I did went ahead and vacuum it, clean it up. It's all nice and sweet. So it is what it is. And then the next day I get a hit on one of my longtime friend from high school. He hits me up on my Facebook page, say, hey, my in-law wants to sell their 99 4Runner. You interested in buying it? It doesn't start, it cranks, has a bit oil leak, blah blah blah. And I'm like, that's nothing, let me go check it out. So I went to go check it out, and it's this white 1999 automatic 4Runner. Has roughly about 230,000 miles, clean body, clean frame. The frame is not rusted like most third gen, and interior is nice and clean. No offense, but it's owned by a older Asian lady. So you guys know how it is. Older Asian people, older Asian folks, they always like to just baby their rigs, and they take good care of it. They take good care of it, but with Toyota, since Toyota just runs and runs, they just dry the heck out of it, and sometimes they forget to do the basic maintenance like valve cover, gasket, and stuff like that. So this was one of those typical older Asian rig, well taken care of, but they never kept up on the maintenance. So I to go check it out, and we couldn't get it to start for some reason. So I'm like, whatever, I'll just buy it. So I got a good price on it. I bought it, called my tow truck. Shout out to Payless Towing. Called my tow truck, had it towed to my place, and when I was there buying it, I had a feeling of, in my mind, I kind of knew 95% what was wrong with it. It was just crank, 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 and I knew what was wrong with it, but I wasn't fully confident. 95% confidence. And my first thought was like, alright, it's probably the auto start. So when I was there, I crawled down under the driver kick panel, and I saw a auto start, you know, CompuStart, auto start. And in my past, I have had issues where these third 4Runners, for some reason, after they die or they get battery disconnected, if you try to start it, it won't start for some reason because of the auto start. I'm not a professional auto start expert, but for some reason they always interfere, so something's going on. So in the past, what I had to do was I had to pull the fuses for that auto start, and then you can start it. So I didn't want to do that when I was looking at the vehicle at the owner's place, just in case it did start it and then they decide to not want to sell it. So I just had it towed to my place. As soon as I got to my place, I pulled the fuses for the CompuStart, and I go to start it, and nothing. It was still having the same issue. So I go back, I checked all my fuses, relayed, I checked everything, make sure everything was plugged up, and then we kept trying, I kept trying. I tried it for about 2-3 hours, I took a break, and then later that night, I came back and I learned how to put the CompuStart in valet mode, and then I tried it, it didn't work. I pulled the fuses for the CompuStart, it didn't work. I put the fuses back in, and then later on, I just went ahead and pressed the unlock button. Now during this time, I was pressing the lock button, I was messing with the remote key fob, and it still wasn't doing nothing. But then later on, all of a sudden, when I pressed the unlock, and then I went to start it, it started right up. And it was so odd. It was just so random because before that, I was already pressing all these weird buttons like the unlock and all that stuff. So I got it started, turn it off. I then unplugged the fuses for the CompuStart because I don't want that CompuStart auto start working at all. And then I go back and turn it on, and now it works fine. Now the vehicle will start like how it regularly is, and it also doesn't have the auto start. The auto start is still installing it. I didn't cut anything like that. So I got it to run. So I got it running, and I'm like, all right, that's awesome, blah blah. Now when I bought the rig, the radiator was completely going out. You guys know Toyota, when the radiator's going out, they start turning brown. So I have a new radiator on order. The valve covers were completely leaky, oil everywhere. I just got done replacing the valve cover gasket. I also, let me backtrack a little bit, guys. So the day when I got it started, the next day, I take it for a drive, right? I take it for a drive, and then on my way back home, as soon as I was getting to 60 miles an hour, the vehicle started going into limp mode, or it feels like the transmission wasn't engaging. So I was like, oh no, the transmission is probably blown up or something. I pull over to the highway, I take a look, make sure nothing was leaking, and then all of a sudden I drove it, and it drove fine, and I rushed home because I didn't want to call a tow truck again. So I rushed home. I checked the transmission fluid. It looks good. It doesn't look too low, doesn't look too high, but then I went ahead and added 2 more quarts of transmission fluid. The next day, I went back and test drove it again, and it was fine for a second. And then later that night, I went to go test drive it again, and then it had that same issue. It was limping. So whenever I get to like 50, 60, it wanted to just limp, and like when you press on the gas, it doesn't go. And every time it does that, I have to like pull over and then gas again, and it will go. So later on, I come home, I'm like, man, let me run my OBD2 scanner. There's no check engine light going on. I run my OBD2 scanner, and I get a code for P0325, which is a code that I've never dealt with. P0325 is a knock sensor, bank 1, sensor 1. So from my research, I researched it, and I found out that it was most likely a knock sensor going out. So I'm like, okay, no big deal. I always got these 3-4. I always pull these 3-4 knock sensor and save them for when something like this happened. If you guys don't know, Toyota knock sensor, they're like $150 each. They're super expensive. So I'm like, okay, we're probably the knock sensor was what was causing that limp mode. It wasn't the tranny. So back to the present day, a couple hours ago, we removed the radiator. I removed the radiator, valve cover gasket, put new valve cover gasket. Timing belt is still nice and new. They must have replaced this, recently. I removed the main plenum to get to the knock sensors. I put 2 new knock sensor from my spare bin parts. I also installed a new knock sensor harness. I went with a doorman because I did not have time to order one online. And then I also put new, the fuel injectors were the O-rings were pretty crappy, so we went ahead and cleaned that, put new O-rings. So right now it has new gasket, new O-rings, everything's fresh from here. I'm still waiting for my radiator to come in, which should be here tomorrow or this weekend. And then I also haven't put the main intake plenum yet because I'm still waiting for some spark plugs. I ordered spark plugs online. They should be here this weekend. And I want to go buy, I took out the PCV valve, so I need to go buy a PCV valve and all that stuff tomorrow. So that's where I'm at right now with the 4Runner. And yeah, what a journey, right? I didn't document any of this because I was just boom, 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 boom. And then I also put a new air filter. The air filter that was in here was completely crappy, dusty and such. So that's where we're at right now, guys. This 4Runner runs good. It ran strong. The engine is strong. Transmission shifts really smooth. It is a little bit leaky. I think it has a rear main seal leak too. It could be something else, but I know for sure the valve covers were leaking. I think the T-case and something along the transmission is leaking a little bit, but nothing crazy, nothing that's worth parting it out. Once I get it running, I'm gonna back it out, put it on some car jacks, and then pressure wash everything, and then see where the leaks are coming from. But here's the big thing, guys. This is the big thing. This is what I'm happy about, guys. I'm not gonna sell this 4Runner. I'm not gonna gut out this 4Runner. So early this year, my dad was talking to me, you know, we were out hunting, and he's like, man, I would like to get like an older Toyota so I can bring it out, not go hunting with it, but like my dad and my mom, they love going out into nature, hiking, take photos, take videos, just like what I do now. And they have a Nissan. My dad always take his truck, which is a Nissan Frontier, and they just don't have the room in a truck because sometimes they like to go camping and they like to sleep in the vehicle just to be safer. So my dad was like, hey, you know, since you're always buying these rigs, if you find a nice 4Runner, let me know. And when I went to go buy this, I didn't even think about, oh, my dad is wanting something. So when I bought this, I wasn't even thinking about that. And then all of a sudden when I bought it, I'm like, oh yeah, I think my dad did want a 4Runner. And then it clicked in my head like, oh, this will be the perfect rig for my parents because it has ton of room in the back. They can fold the seats down. They can sleep in it. They can overland. You know, they can do their overlanding. This is a vehicle that I'm familiar with. The engine, I'm completely familiar with. If there's something ever wrong, I can fix it. I can tune it up instead of like a Nissan because I don't work on that stuff. The body's in good shape. The inside is in good shape. It's a solid rig for this type of camping stuff like that. So I've decided that I'm gonna give this to my parents. So I'm gonna give this to my parents. We're gonna tune it up, make sure it's the best that we can get it to, and then once we get it running good, I'm just gonna give it to my parents. It's gonna be a gift to my parents, and they can enjoy it. They can have it as a backup rig when they go camping, when they go do their overlanding trips. They can use the 4Runner and they can just sleep in the back because it's be more easier for them versus having a truck. So I'm super stoked about that, guys. You know, I initially bought this and I was like, man, if I get it fixed, I can just flip it or, you know, keep it as a backup rig. But then I'm like, man, let me just give it to my parents because it really doesn't cost me anything buying this rig. You know, it's, to me, it was a free rig. I paid some money for it, but to me, it was still a free rig. So giving this to my parents is going to be a good thing. So as of right now, guys, I can't really show you guys too much because the vehicle is in my garage. Once I get it running and stuff like that, which should be by this week or something like that, I'll give you guys a full walk around. Once we change the radiator and fix that knock sensor, I want to do some more test drive on it and make sure it doesn't go into that limp mode because that limp mode was like, oh, it almost feels like the transmission was blowing up, but the transmission is not blowing up. So I want to get all this stuff fixed up, take it for a test drive, put like maybe 50, 60 miles in there, make sure it's rock solid, and then I will give this to my parent. I already told my dad, you know, he's super excited about it. He wants to put like a roof rack. He wants to put a roof rack like how my Land Cruiser is, so they can put more extra cargo. He wants to get a little hitch cargo thingy where they can carry water and extra gas and stuff like that. Since they're gonna be doing like camping trips and driving trips, I want to put a 32-inch LED light bar on this rig so that they can, when they drive at night, they can see better and stuff like that. We're gonna keep this rig basic. We're not putting lifts or anything like that. We just need to make it reliable and good enough for the Alaska highways and some small dirt road like Hatcher's Pass or something like that, unpaved road. So that's the main thing, guys. I think in the future, maybe next summer, I might change out the lower ball joints. I think these are the original lower ball joints. If you guys know 3rd gen 4Runner, you guys know why you might want to change those out. The front struts looks good. They're not dead or anything like that. And then I'm not sure about the rear shocks. I haven't looked at it yet. But if the rear shocks needs to be replaced, we'll go ahead and replace that. I'm also going to go ahead and change out all the gear oil. So front diff, rear differential, T-case, and we'll probably go ahead and do a transmission flush. Just make sure that this rig is solid. Because the past owner, they told me that this rig has been sitting since early spring or last winter, so it's been sitting for at least 6 to 8 months. So it's good to get a refresh. It has about a 1/4 tank of gas. I want to go ahead and run all that gas out and then put new fresh fuel. But for the most part, we're in the process of baselining this rig, and once we get that done, we'll do some more test drive, and then my parents will be a proud owner of a 3rd gen 4Runner, and they'll be super awesome to have this rig to them. And then in the meanwhile, that 94, that will be another backup rig, because I am gonna be doing some stuff to my black Yoda, my black pickup, so I won't have a vehicle, and I can probably use that 94 as a backup rig. I do have my Corolla and my wife's vehicle, but I like to drive my Toyotas, not my wife's stuff. So guys, this is just a little quick video of what's going on. I bought another 4Runner, but again, I'm gonna give this to my parents after we update it, tune it up. I'll keep you guys posted on the next couple videos once I get it running. Maybe I'll show you guys a first start, and then we'll take it for a zip, show you guys a quick walk around, and do some more fun stuff to it. You guys probably found out about this already if you guys are following me on the Instagram, so make sure you guys follow the Instagram if you guys want to stay up to date on all my Toyota habits, I guess you can call it. Toyota adventures. NuttyNu_44. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.